Namaste, good morning, and welcome to the sixth episode of Pursuit of Excellence. And we are back with the show that puts the spotlight on some amazing Indian leaders and professionals and their success stories in South Africa. And in case you're wondering about the change of face, I'm Rachna, filling in for Saili, who is unwell today. Hope you enjoy this amazing episode that we have planned for today. We have with us today Mr. Pushpender Singla, Executive Director and CFO of Vedanta Zinc International and CMT. Vedanta Zinc International represents the largest Indian investment in South Africa and Namibia, and one of the largest employers in the Northern Cape too. Vedanta Zinc International, a part of the world's sixth largest diversified natural resource company, Vedanta Resources Limited, has pledged 21 billion rand in investment here. The company's operations here include both underground and open pit mining, with concentrators and refineries. Our guest, Mr. Singla, is a director of various Vedanta Group companies in South Africa, Namibia, Ireland, and Australia. Not only is he responsible for the business's performance, vision, and growth as CFO of the company, he's also a certified CA and an executive member of CII India Business Forum SA. He was also the ex-chairman of International Zinc Association of Southern Africa and even had a nomination for CFO South Africa Awards 2018. There's so much more to talk about regarding Mr. Singla's 15 years of experience in metals and mining that I'm already in complete awe that he managed to make time for us today. So let's welcome Mr. Singla and learn more about him and his work. Welcome, Mr. Singla. How are you doing today?
Very good and very good morning, Rachna and Piyushji. Very good morning and thank you for the opportunity to connect it today.
No, thank you for making the time for us today. It's definitely our
and
pleasure.
I also would like to give special thanks to Consulate General of India in Durban, Anish Ranjanji, for this initiative. I think this is a great initiative and I'm really very thankful to him as well.
Definitely. Thank you, Consulate General, and also thank you to you, Mr. Singla. Can we then start with some basics? How long have you been in South Africa, Mr. Singla? How has your experience been so far, both as a CFO and Executive Director of Vedanta, as well as a high-profile expat who has come down to work here?
Thanks, Rachna. Firstly, before I start, I wish that firstly, I wish very good health and wellness for all my South African and my Indian colleagues, especially in this COVID pandemic. And it's a wave 3 coming, and I wish good health to all of you and all my colleagues around. And I wish that everyone also of us remains safe and we come out of it as soon as possible. And then coming to your question specifically, I say I'm in South Africa from last 6 years. And I can say it is a fantastic experience I had here. It's a wonderful journey. I can say the last 6 years I can say that 1/3 of my career I spent in South Africa, of total of my career, and nothing can be better than this. I can say, again, we will always remain positive that something will better come in the life. But I'm very happy that what I've spent the last 6 years in South Africa. One thing which I say that I worked in India, I worked in Australia, and I worked in South Africa now. I can say 3 of these countries itself as a continental as well. And especially South Africa and India, if I compare, the South Africa got a diverse culture like India again, So you will feel South Africa itself is a continent. Like India, we call it as a continent with the 29 states. Similarly, I can say South Africa itself is the diverse culture itself is a big continent. People are very nice. I can say the humanity in terms of respect, welcoming, care, so great. And if I say again, comparing between India, Australia, and South Africa, fantastic weather. I think one of the best weather to stay. You can really enjoy the weather here. So I think from all respect, I can say this is a fantastic. My last 6 year experience remained very, very fantastic. And from the business perspective, I can say I never know, but after coming to South Africa, I know that South Africa is the first country in the world who started the mining. So means this is the originator of the mining, South Africa, and in terms of business opportunity, it has a huge opportunity to grow. The potential of the mineral is very high at the ground. So that's all I can say.
So I mean, when people come to South Africa, they also often have some preconceived notions when they come here and some expectations of South Africa. Did you have any preconceived notions, and how did you find South Africa in comparison to some of the expectations and notions that you had regarding the country?
Sure. So before I came to South Africa, so I was 6 years in Australia, and again, first world country, best destination from the mining perspective. I can say that uh, how this move has happened. Vedanta as a company is very much believer in the young people and young talent. And our vice chairman, Mr. Naveen Agarwal, his personal anchor of developing the young people and giving them the higher responsibilities. And I was fortunate enough when I was in Australia to be still young at that point of time to be participate in that workshop and got a greatest opportunity to lead a C-suite job in South Africa. So when I'm moving from there to here, I think there was a lot of friends and family talking about, why you're moving from first world country to a developing country. That's the first thing. Second thing, one thing which definitely everyone was highlighting concern about the crime, which is very common. You will see, when people talk about South Africa. But one thing which is which always remain with me is my passion to professionally grow, my passion for change. I always love to change. And third thing is explore something new in the life. If you're young, it's always better to explore something in the life. So I got these 2 3 values. And the one thing which I always carry from my parents is a positive outlook. Always remain positive. That's what my parent always told me. So I said, if the opportunities came, let's take this opportunity and see what happens. So I think when I came, it was definitely, although my mind was strong that I'm taking this opportunity, I'm going there, but definitely I had a thinking about how the crime thing situation is there in the country and everything. But when I landed here, I think the first thing, I never felt it's a developing country. I felt this is a definitely first world country from the infrastructure, from the facility, from the hospitality I've seen here. I think that was the greatest on the personal side. As I touched on, weather was fantastic here. And in Australia, I was staying in Tasmania, which was the coldest weather. I think 360 days of rain, although it was beautiful, but 360 days it was rain. But coming here is such a beautiful weather. So it was, again, I say very, very good. And then I already touched on the people, fantastic people to work with, to respect how they support you. Everything was great from that perspective. And after coming to South Africa, the crime thing, although some of the resident colleagues has helped me to stay within the rule. And if you ask me, the last 5 6 years I worked within the rule. You're all right. And each country has its own rule to work. Each country has pros and cons. So I said again, if you work within the rule, but definitely we can be healthy, so healthy and safe. So I think these are the things. Initially, it was tough for me to take a move here, but my positive mindset, my determination, and again, greater support from the family has helped me to come. And I can say I find it much more than better what I thought.
Yeah, I think some of our experiences, so we can also relate with the experiences through our experiences as well when we came to South Africa. So
Yeah.
on the next question as well, I mean, are you here with your family as well in South Africa?
Yes, I'm here with my family, my wife Saloni, and my 2 daughters.
Okay,
And
so I mean,
the younger one born here.
oh wow, okay. So I guess this is the right question for you then. Does your family love it here? How does South Africa rate for someone who's lived and worked here and with family too?
So I can say again, family is enjoying too much here. If you ask me, they really feel it's home. If you ask me, because we never thought such a big Indian community here. We never thought you have every possible religious event you can celebrate. With larger community and larger people. And you got such a nice people. Even one is being an Indian, I can say Indian culture and Indian community, but beyond that, even the community we stay, we got all the local peoples around. It is fantastic, so much caring. So if you ask me, family, even my daughter, she is going to Crawford in Santon and she loves it. And again, it's very multicultural the way schooling is there into the country. And so I say family is enjoying too much. My both the daughters, and I say sometimes they say they never want to go back to India permanently. They want to stay here. So that's the way from the family perspective is there. From the work culture perspective, also I can say that very much structured environment into the work life balance is very good. People are very structured, very good almost employment law and structure is there. So I think from the work perspective also, and value driven organization, everywhere I see the values on the top of the organization. So I think I say from the family perspective, from the work perspective, if someone is in South Africa, definitely would like to make as a home. And if he leaves South Africa, he will always want to come back to South Africa. And over and above, like my parents came sometime, they come in between periodically to stay with us. They love the country, I can say. Initially they were very hesitant when I was moving from Australia to South Africa, but when they come now, they really enjoy the country.
That's great to hear, Mr. Singla. So I guess, I mean, you spoke about work a little bit. So South Africa is obviously a popular tourist destination, but how would you rate it as a business destination? And further to that, is it an easy market to enter? And what kind of opportunities do you see in this country for business in near future?
So if I say South Africa, what I thought of and what I see is a huge potential. South Africa is a world leader into a lot of mining commodities. If I talk about platinum, if I talk about chrome, if I talk about manganese, is a world leader. And even on the top, is a top 10 leader into the commodities like diamond, gold, iron ore, coal. So if you talk about potential, and even our business also, we have, I'll maybe add some stories about our business as well, that we have also multifold growth since we came into the country. So South Africa got a significant unexploited, undeveloped reserve or resource into the ground from the mining perspective, which can be definitely take country to the next level of growth if we want to. That's the first thing. Second thing, if I talk about everyone is talking about renewable energy nowadays, that everyone want to move from the thermal coal and want to be a renewable energy producer. And South Africa got the best sun intensity, and especially if I talk about Northern Cape where we operate, it is the highest in the globally. So this is the best destination for the even renewable sector to come and set up the renewable power, and especially when the country is in a power deficit, it makes better for it. And the third aspect is the mining skill. Again, as an originator of the mining, South Africa got the best in class mining skill. So which again has made it a world leader. So if you ask me from the opportunity perspective, there's a huge opportunity to take the country to the next level. Over and above, if I look at the location, geographical location, South Africa is best located to serve Europe, serve Asia, and serve Middle East. So accordingly, it makes us a perfect destination to grow and serve the world. So I think from all perspective, I can say there's a huge opportunity for the businesses to come and grow. And for the newcomers or anyone who want to come in this country, I say the structure, the framework, the potential, it really helps. And again, one more aspect, if I talk about India being such a competitive market, China being such a competitive market, it's not easy for everyone to go and survive there because it's a cutthroat competition, because the countries has already moved from one level to another. South Africa has that potential where you can still come and start and run your business. You will not be facing as cutthroat competition as you've seen in other countries.
Thank you, Mr. Singla. So tell us more about Vedanta and its initiatives, sir. How does an Indian company make a big difference in the lives of South Africans?
Excellent. So if I talk about Vedanta, let me give a little bit brief about Vedanta as a company. So Vedanta is the 6th largest natural resource company in the world, as a diversified natural resource company in the world. Like we can say, we got a Rio Tinto from UK. Okay, we got Rio Tinto from UK, we got Anglo from South Africa, we got BHP from Australia. Similarly, Vedanta is a company which is proud of India and Indian natural resource company in the world. And we are very diversified portfolio. We are in the key base metal commodities, zinc, lead, silver, aluminium, copper, and even into some of the non-base metal commodities like iron ore. We are the power producer. We are in oil and gas. In terms of scale, we produce around 10,000 megawatt of power in India, which is equal to 1/3 of Eskom's capacity today in South Africa. In terms of oil, we produce 25% of India's oil consumption. And in terms of zinc, together with India and South Africa and Namibia, we produce almost 10% of the world's global zinc consumption. So again, from a scale perspective, we are very significant scale and as a commodity leader. And we directly and indirectly employ around 90,000 to 100,000 people across the globe, and touches around 3.4 million people through our CSR program. Coming back to closer to South Africa. In South Africa, our operation specifically talk about includes our operation in South Africa as Namibia both. And in coming to South Africa specifically, we got 2 underground mines and 1 open pit operation. And in the last 5 years since I arrived, even we were producing in South Africa about 75,000 ton of metal. Now I can say we are producing 300,000 ton of metal. So we have increased our capacity by 4 times in the last 4 to 5 years in South Africa itself. In terms of again, our focus on the growth remain very high, and as I mentioned, South Africa has a great potential to grow, and each industry have a again great potential to grow multifold. And in light with our vision, and again as in aligned with the president's investment summit, we have placed 21 billion rand into the country to invest into the next 3 to 5 years, and we already invested our first 5.5 billion rand into our flagship Hamsburg project, which has enabled our 4 times growth into our metal production and also created a sustainable jobs for more than 1,000 people in Northern Cape. So again, we are very much committed in terms of bringing growth to the country. And just to add on in terms of how we are touching the lives of our people and creating benefit for South African and local, we employ people almost 2,700 people for our operations in Northern Cape, and out of that 99% people are local South African. We hardly have a 1% expatriate. And even just to come closer, even out of that, around 80% belongs to Northern Cape and 65% belong to the region we belong. So that's the way we create the impact on the community. Our first focus remain how we can serve the host community where we operate.
So those are some really impressive achievements, Mr. Singla. Moving on to the next question then. You've been with the Vedanta family for over a decade now, and you've also experienced its work in various different countries, including India, as you've mentioned, Australia and South Africa. So you're the best person to ask this. What are the similarities and dissimilarities in work culture here in South Africa compared to some of the other countries?
Excellent. So in terms of, I say that if I talk about South Africa, Australia and India, from the culture perspective, I think all the 3 countries and the organization across all the 3 countries got values on the top of its list. So all the value-driven organization. That's the way I can say similarities are there. The respect, care, trust, integrity, definitely it sits on the top of the organization. That is the one thing. From the system perspective, if I talk about, given now the companies are global companies, you will not see much issues between the system across the countries will be also similar, in terms of whether your is the accounting system or whether it's your operational systems, you will find very similarity. So you will not see much differences there. The biggest difference which I can say, the similarity between Australia and South Africa, I can say very much work-life balance culture, as well as focused on more planning, planned environment. Nothing can happen on the last minute. And one of the difference between India, I can say, is that India being such a fast-running country as of now, I say it's a work-life integration. So people are flexible to make them available as needed. Doesn't matter it's a weekend and off hours and all, because that is the integration they have done. That is the first thing. Second thing, anything can happen, in short notice. Nothing is needed on the planning, and that's the way somehow the culture, the country has grown. So I think if you ask me, that's the biggest difference between 2 continents and 2 organizations and 2 countries I've seen. But as part of international organization, I have not seen that much difference, between the countries. So I think this is the biggest difference if you ask me from the culture perspective, I can say. And otherwise, I can see all the countries are very much value driven and fantastic work environment is there.
Great, thanks. That brings me to the next question, right? Which is about mining. So we need to touch on that. So how do you feel mining is in South Africa? And I know you've alluded to this to start off with. So let's just get a bit more into detail. So for us laymen, please, how are things done here in the industry? Right from mining operations to getting the wheels rolling on any South African growth plans. Just tell us a bit more about the mining industry and how it operates here.
Sure, excellent. So in terms of South Africa, as I said that, again, it was good news for me to know that, I'm in the country which is the first originator of mining in the world. So that means South Africa is a world leader in the mining. And when we go to the specific commodities and the platinum, the chrome, the manganese. South Africa is the highest production in the world. South Africa serves the world on these three commodities. And when I talk about best-in-class diamonds, gold, and iron ore, coal find in South Africa, and again South Africa serve as a top 10 leader to the world on these commodities. So if I talk about mining industry as a whole almost contribute 400 billion rand every year to the GDP of the country, which almost 10% of the country's GDP, which is a huge contribution. And if I talk about in employment, around 450,000 people directly and indirectly working in the mining industry. And again, as part of economy rule, almost 1% create 9 jobs. So almost 4 million people are directly and indirectly being served by the mining industry in South Africa. So that's a way that if I talk about holistic mining industry, that's the way the contribution is there. And as I mentioned, in terms of potential to grow, the mining industry is huge. If I talk about even especially the Northern Cape, where we call it, Northern Cape is still, I say, a very much undeveloped province between the other province, but has a huge potential to grow. So much rich in terms of minerals, but it's all about how we enable, how we bring the investor to, mine these resources and bring on the top. And again, as a Vedanta, we did as half of our journey where we taken from 75,000 to 300,000, and our vision remain to take to 1 million ton. That's the vision to produce to three times from where we are today. And we see that potential because again, basic things for the, again, as you say, for the layman, in the mining, what happens? You need to explore the place. You got a land, you got a leases. You simply need to explore to find what exists in the ground. And the Mother Earth is so rich here. Mother Earth is so rich here that you can, as an you mine, you drill, you will find something there. So it's all about how to explore. So for each mining industry and for each company, I always motivate that exploration should be on the top of the list so that you continue to explore. That's the first thing. The second thing is all about once you explore and then it's all about how. Definitely this industry is a bit risk taking. It's not like a 100% risk free industry in terms of you have to always take some risk. So there should be some factor about risk that let's take a risk and let's mine this area. And again, we as a Vedanta always don't want everything to be 100%. We say 80%. Our chairman is very clear that our decision making has to be very fast. Our risk taking power has to be fast. So accordingly, any opportunity comes, and if we find 80% confidence, we go with it. So again, I say from the mining perspective, always exploiting the reserve and bringing it out on the ground and feeding to the economy is one of the things. How we can see something is lying in the ground, which can come up and can contribute so heavily to the economy. That is the way we see the economy, because it is already lying in the Mother Earth. Mother Earth is blessed with this resources. So all about mining is bringing it out from the ground and serving to the economy. And the positive side of it, mining doesn't need big marketing to sell the material, because all the resources which is there into the grind is the need of the business, need of the country, need of the world. If you want to talk about infrastructure, if you want to talk about building infrastructure, galvanizing, everywhere you need these resources. So I think it's all about how we can still extract and continue to serve the industry. So if you ask me, that is all about in the mining industry in South Africa, but I can say the exploitation of the reserve and from the ground is very, very important. And it can be win-win situation, because country got the best in class mining skill. So you don't need to even import a skill to run the organization. You have all the best skill available in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Singla. Also, from an exploration perspective, I think one of the biggest things on the Mining Council's agenda is also putting more investment into exploration. So how does Vedanta differ from that view? I think you've mentioned that exploration is key as well in your view. Do you also have a considerable amount of investment through Vedanta that goes into exploration?
Yes. So exploration always remain on top of our agenda, and we got a very strong and robust team for the exploration. Despite whether the market is in a downturn or market is a upturn, our investment in exploration remain very heavily. And I can proudly say we acquired these mines in 2011 from Anglo in 2011, and since then, through our robust exploration program, we have developed our reserve and resource in the ground through the basic drilling. And I can say today we are sitting with a more than 30 million ton of metal in the ground, which is very heavy if you look at it from the size perspective. And I think that's the remain our focus remain. And this is again driven again our chairman, vice chairman, our all leadership personally drive the exploration agenda. We always say this is a well, and if we need to keep feeding the water to ourselves and our teams and our community for the longer term, we need to make sure we continue to run our well. So I think the focus remain for us. If we mine 1 ton, we have to explore 2 tons more in the ground. That's the way we work.
Okay, that makes sense. And in terms of the COVID situation, I know last year was a full lockdown for a month. So how did that impact the mining industry? I believe the mining industry did recover from there, but how did it initially impact the mining industry, and how have you recovered since then?
Yeah, so I see COVID started last year, 26 March, almost now 15 months has passed. And when it was started, I can tell you, everyone was so stressed what is going to happen, how we are going to manage it, supply chain, either it's a mining operation, either it's a marketing and shipment of the materials what you produce. So everything was, bit stress period. But I say the good thing from the country perspective, country has come with a very clear regulation guidelines. And again, mining was one of the essential commodities into the list. So I say with our strong management team at ground, with our strong skill and commitment from the team, our operation was hardly shut for 10 days. We operated 15 months at a full capacity. And I can also proudly say that how best team has managed this COVID situation. We never had any issues that, any death or any issues with the COVID. And always a number for the first 12 months always remain like within the less than 2 days. It was a 1-digit number on the site, whether we have 3,000 people working on the site. So the management of the COVID was super, I say, in terms of training, in terms of traveling regulation, and again, very strictly following the guidelines issued by the TMR. So I say as a COVID, we managed very well. And why it is important to manage also is the thing, because as a responsible and management, as a responsible corporate citizen, this is our responsibility to make sure we run our operation for the larger purpose, which is community and employee. Because if we shut our operation, the impact on the 3,000 people and associated with community can be huge. So I think as a responsibility, we ran our business, and all across Vedanta, even India, we did fantastic in terms of running our operation and managing COVID very well.
That really shows that Vedanta is actively involved in societal and human upliftment, and they do care about the people that work for them, not just here in South Africa, but globally. So is this a conscious countrywide policy decision, not just, in terms of COVID, but just beyond that, where you're conscious and you focused on the societal and human upliftment? Is that a conscious countrywide policy decision, or is this Vedanta's social conscience across the globe?
I say giving back to the community is one of our key value, and this is driven by even our chairman personally, Mr. Anil Agarwal. He personally drove this agenda. He said everything we do with a purpose, and bringing transformation and lifting our community, lifting up our community is one of our key focus for our business. And accordingly, this is the drive which is run through across the group globally, not only at South Africa. As I mentioned, through our various community programs, we touch the lives of 3.4 million people across globally. And everywhere what we see, we have to see the real impact. We don't want to run for the sake of compliance, and we don't want to run for the sake of a corporate social responsibility. We want to run that how we can create real impact, how we can create a bit of self-job creation for our community, and how they make them self-sufficient. So that's the way we run. So this is definitely agenda run through at a group level and across globally. And this is our key value. This is one of the value as an organization, we run it. Further coming to our initiative, across the globe as well, and specific to South Africa, especially from the community upliftment. Our chairman of trustee, he himself is a philanthropist, and he pledged his 75% of his personal wealth for the community upliftment. He is very much clear that especially the women's skill development, child care, health, education. So he has pledged his 75% of wealth. That shows his commitment as a leader, that what he is thinking about and to do in the country. Second thing is again, I'm not sure you heard about, but Vedanta is running a big campaign of Nandaghar in India, which is our plan is to develop around 10,000 Nandaghar in India. And Nandaghar is again a small house, and Nanda is Lord Krishna, and a small house which can is being developed as parallel to, like in India we call it Anganwadi. There is a structure where we can serve women, because women can have come from their household things, can study, they have a nutrition food, can take care of kids, and we are trying to make on a model where it's self-sufficient, like it's run by solar, it's having its own TV, and self-education thing is there running. So we have a vision to create 10,000 Nandgar, which is going to touch the life of almost 100 million people in India. And we also want to replicate similar model in South Africa. We also started our work here as well, that South Africa and Namibia also we must set up some Nandagar, because in the community we operate is not very different from what we have in India. So there is a need definitely. So I think that is a larger agenda for us. Second thing is coming our host community in South Africa, where we operate into Northern Cape, into the area of Agnes. And again, our focus remain, we serve 15,000 people directly and indirectly across our communities. And around that, again, we are running a program called Broad-Based Livelihood, where we are trying to make them, self-sufficient by creating a small-scale industry. Either it's a farming, either it's giving them education on the seeds, fruit and vegetation, how they can become a part and parcel of our business, and they can serve the community, they can become self-sufficient, and they can run. And apart from our standard focus, which remain on the education, health, and over and above, I can say one of the initiative we started into our community is a Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is Vedanta Wi-Fi, which we are enabling our nearby host communities through a Wi-Fi initiative, so they can see what is happening in the world, because they don't have access to that internet, and they don't have access to that. So how to enable them, how to even make them enable to apply a job within Vedanta. So that's the way we're trying to run all across our space.
That is extremely commendable. Thank you. And touching upon the elephant in the room now, the environmental impact of mining. How does Vedanta counter the environmental impact of the mining operations? I know a lot of environmentalists and social media warriors are interested in knowing about this.
Excellent. So again, this is, as you rightly said, always mining industry always being perceived as a negative from the perspective of that we damage the environment. Okay, I say this is created with the perception of what we are running from the past. This can be always turned around, and that's the way we believe and we run our organization. So if I talk about health, safety, and environment, we call it HSC. This is the top, again, one of the top value in the organization. Every meeting start in our leadership team with a discussion on the health, safety, and environment. That how to make sure we protect it. That's the way our first commitment as a leadership is there, that we have to first discuss health, safety, and environment before we discuss any other business. So I think that's the way first commitment comes. Now, coming back specifically to in terms of Vedanta initiatives and Vedanta focus, Vedanta again environment, social, and governance, which we call it ESG framework. Vedanta remain on the top of the ESG framework. And again in 2021, S&P again in the S&P Sustainability Yearbook 2021, we have been listed and we have been published. That is the way we show that what commitment Vedanta shows internationally. The second thing, internationally, Dow Jones Sustainability Index, Vedanta has been ranked 12 into the total list. Again, this shows our commitment to the sustainability and environment. Giving the one of the best example, and we're coming to even portfolio what I operate here, are part of Vedanta Zinc International business. We cover South Africa, Namibia, as well as Ireland as a country where we have a zinc business. And Ireland operation has come to end after exploitation of all the resources in the reserve in the ground in end of 2015. And we call it Lachine mine. That's called is Lachine mine in Ireland. That mine is again one of the best example in the mining industry. How best we have closed that operation and how best we have protected the environment. Today, if someone go to that site, it is absolutely green site, and you will see the wind energy production, as well as we are working with the local authorities as well as stakeholder to create some sort of bioeconomic campus to create even post-employment, post-mining jobs. Even the mining industry is gone from there, given that it has come to end. How to create even sustainable jobs even after mining, that's the way we are working. So I think our focus on environment always remain on the top of the list. And even coming to closer to South Africa, we are 100% compliant with DENK guidelines, the guidelines from the DMRE in terms of how to make sure we protect our environment. Just to give another big example, our mine Hamsburg, which is one of the flagship mine for us in South Africa, which has definitely contributed in enhancing our production from 75,000 to 300,000 ton. That particular location is ecologically sensitive area, that particular location, and that is one of the 35 global hotspots from the biodiversity perspective. And we are working in the partnership with the Department of Natural Conservation in Northern Cape, as well as IUCN, which is a environmental organization, to see how we can protect these biodiversity hotspot and be again a world leader to make sure we protect our environment. So I think I can say that our commitment to environment remain top of it, along with health and safety of our employees.
It's great to see that a company so big is actually so socially and environmentally responsible. I want to change the gear a little bit now. And I want to ask you, how easy or difficult is it to get into the South African mining industry as a newcomer, least of all as an outsider, especially because we know it is dominated by some of the big players like Vedanta and Anglo and so on. So can businesses get in easily, especially businesses not as big as Vedanta?
Yeah, so I say, as I touched upon, opportunity to grow in South Africa is huge. So that means any newcomer want to come, there's plenty resources available to exploit and serve. Still, the demand globally is much more than what the supply is available. So I think from that perspective, no one will face, like Vedanta being a such big organization, even the small person can come and still run the organization without being, competitive issues with Vedanta and all. So I don't think so that will be an issue, because the resources reserve available, demand is high. And as I mentioned, this is not a market of competition. This is not a market, because whatever you produce, you will easily liquidate and sell it. So that's not an issue. Best skill is available. So for any newcomer, it's easy to take the best skill and run the things. That is not an issue. And I say very structured government policy and environment. If I talk about again mining charter 3, which is again one of the charter which drive the whole mining industry in South Africa, very well structured. And again, we have to respect the law of the land. If someone newcomers want to come and clearly understand the law of the land, mining charter, and then I don't think so there will be any concern in coming and setting up the business and running the business. Two things which I say that business has to be careful, specific to the mining industry. One is mining is a very capital intensive industry, so you need a huge capital upfront. So if you talk about small player, sometimes it may be difficult for the small player to come, and exploration is a bet. Sometimes you do explore, you may not find anything. So that may be the thing. So I think that is the one thing where definitely you must need a capital backing, either through a banking system or either your own funds. The second thing is there, mining is also a bit cyclical from the price perspective. It's like every 5 years or cycle is 7 years, you will see price comes to its bottom and price goes to the top of it. So it's always very, very important for the new player to come at the right time, because if you come at the time when it's a peak of the commodity and you start your business, and by the time you develop your business and you come to the downturn of the commodity, you will be gone because of the small. So I think timing of the start of the business is very, very important. So someone has to be very careful on the mining cyclical nature as well.
Great. I guess the London Metal Exchange and the Shanghai Metal Exchange probably play a huge part in that.
Absolutely.
In the pricing. Okay. Great. So switching gears again. We're more than halfway through this interview, so let's now talk about you and your lifestyle, sir. So on a professional front, Mr. Singla, you're a super busy C-level exec. How do you manage your time and strike a balance in handling multiple roles and responsibilities? How do you manage a healthy work-life balance? Do you work insane hours?
All right. So I think definitely I can say the life is super busy, and as a C-suite person, the responsibility goes definitely much beyond their duties. So I think life is super busy, but I always say that everyone, whether it's a clerk in the company or whether it's the CEO and chairman of the company, everyone got 24 hours in a day. So the first very, very important thing for us, where we are sitting in the top decision making, as well as we are responsible for thousands of people who are relying on us in terms of jobs and all. So our job is to prioritize which is the high impact item. So that is the way firstly we have to manage. So we have to manage our day to day to make sure first we address all the high priority and impact things. That should not left. That's the first focus again. The second focus remain how we delegate. Empowerment and delegation is very, very important into our business, and we always want to make sure the people under us are well delegated, they empowered, so that we are not only a little bit offloading our work, we are also developing a next successor. We are developing the next pool of talent who can take our. So I think these are the two professional side I can say that we have to follow. And on the I say on the personal side, I say a little bit more. I say I have to be a bit careful on the health side. I say I'm also not very good on that. I have to accept that the third mantra is definitely for it be a successful C-suite person, you must make sure to spend at least 1 hour on your health every day, which I'm a little bit running behind. So I need to catch up on that as a business. So I think these are the 2-3 things I say that we really need to make sure that that happens into the business to empower people and delegate. But otherwise, life is super busy, but that's the way we have to run business.
And your leisure time, or any, should I say, any leisure time that you might have, how do you like to spend your leisure time? And of course, who do you like to spend it with?
Excellent. So if I get a leisure time, if I'm lucky, definitely if I get some leisure time, I would like to first spend with my 2 younger daughters. Again, definitely they always see. Always come and see, even in the COVID, when I'm spending a lot of time at home, working from home, they always want to come and play with me. But I always say, Pop, I'm very busy, sorry, beta. But I think that there's a first opportunity when I come, I would like to spend some time with them. And on Sunday, sometime if I get an opportunity, I did definitely play with them. That's my first priority. And second thing, if I get a chance, again, as I said, my wife always said that you must take care of your health and let's go for a round of walk. So if I get an opportunity, I definitely go a round of walk with her and into the street. And the third, I definitely would like to talk to my parents on almost, our family in India. And that is definitely every week whenever I get an opportunity. That's on the personal front. And on the business front, also, I say, whenever I had a little bit free time, one of the things our group has initiated, we call the program We Led, which is again very personally anchored by our Vice Chairman, Mr. Naveen Agarwal. He is very much passionate about how to uplift women and how to bring women in the front and how to empower them. And he has also selected me one of the person to enter the program. So whenever I get a chance, I always connect to a few of the women leaders and talent in the company, even on the weekend sometime, to speak to them, how I can help them to develop their career, how I can help them to bring them forward. So that's the way I can say I also try to balance between even work and personal life. And I also this time definitely gives me a little bit out of my day routine, but even help some of the women, help some of the young leader to come up. On the other side, spend some time with them.
So now I know who to go to if I need some career advice, sir.
Absolutely, most welcome.
Thanks. And talking of travel now, how much of South Africa have you seen over the years? And which are your favorite places? And what do you most like to do in South Africa?
So I spent 5.5 years, and I said I've not enough explored South Africa with some reason, of the work and everything. But I did have a chance to visit Kruger, had a chance to visit, Durban. I did a garden route. I did Cape Town, explored nearby places in Johannesburg. So I say you can't miss one thing. Which I love to, when I was in Australia or when I'm here, that if you're in a country, you must explore that country. You don't know whether that opportunity will come again or not. So to the extent I was possible, I did my best destinations and explored the major destinations in South Africa, and I can say it's a fantastic. I enjoyed every bit of it when I traveled across South Africa, and very diverse, I can say. You can see a jungle and safari in Kruger. On the other side, you can see the city like Cape Town, which is very advanced. On the other side, you can see Durban with the largest Indian community, and you can feel this mini India there. So I think a very diverse. So I can say I really explored very well so far, and I really enjoyed it. But I continue to do this journey because there's a lot to explore.
Certainly. And I think you mentioned this before earlier on, where you said South Africa is known to leave a lasting impression on almost everyone who's lived here for any amount of time. So do you have an experience of South Africa that would remain with you for your lifetime, and anyone that you'd like to share with us here today?
So I think the first thing is there, I feel this is a home, so I'm not sure whether I definitely leave this country. So I'm here always. Okay, so that's the first thing I always say. Second thing, as I said, that my younger daughter is born here, and that is again I say the gift I got from South Africa, which I definitely I'll carry for my lifetime. Okay, that is always remain with me. The third thing is our flagship project Hamsburg, which we have developed in the last 4 years, and which has created employment more than 1,000 people and given a new life around 20 years to the operation, which is going to serve the community for the longer, which is going to serve the country for the longer. Definitely remain with me. I will be always proud of wherever I go in the world that I have done something for the country or for the community and for the company, which will remain with the people and which will contribute to the larger purpose for the longer.
That's great. So I think that's it from me today. I really cannot believe how fun it was to chat with you today, Mr. Singla. So thank you very much. But before we conclude, let's check if Piyush has any questions for you today. Piyush, would you like to cash in on this rare opportunity and ask a few questions to Mr. Singla while he's still trapped with us here?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of surprise to Mr. Singla that from where I am coming into the picture, I'm always supposed to be the backstream. But I just out of my curiosity, a couple of questions I had. Why there are not much of backward integration to mining? Lots of processing. So South Africa has quite a lot of natural resources, but when it comes to processing, it does not happen it here. So what could be the reason in your understanding? Because otherwise, you have the resources right here, and if you make it to the next level, you value add it, and then you will get basically more price and you create more employment to your own people. So what could be the reason why we are not seeing a lot of smelting plants and processing units here?
Yeah, so I think Piyush, fantastic question, and I say you're on the spot on. I think that is the biggest still gap in the South Africa as a country. So South Africa got huge mineral resources and huge mining potential, but when it comes to smelting, even as a business, we are doing half beneficiation. There's a opportunity to do more beneficiation. We would like to set up a big smelter in Northern Cape to serve South Africa. Today, South Africa is importing zinc. Why South Africa has to import zinc? Because South Africa can set up its own smelter. And although we were from Namibia, we were serving South Africa in the past. And but that's the opportunity now. What is the constraint? Why we are not even as part of our 21 billion rand pledged to the country? That is one of the things that we would like to set up a smelter in South Africa, because our chairman believe that the full beneficiation must happen in South Africa and we must serve the country. Now, why is not happening? The first thing is their uh, energy. If you talk about both availability of the power as well as the pricing of the power, both does not stack nicely to put a smelter, because in the mining business you still make the money because you're driven by the mining cost only, and you're driven by the prices of the London Market Exchange. But in the smelting business, your cost of the raw material remains the cost of the cost what you buy from the market, plus you need to run absolutely at the efficiency level, and the margins are thin into the smelting industry. So to run smelting industry very smartly, you need power availability, consistent power availability, as well as at a right price. If these two things are there, which can definitely enable more smelting and processing capacity in the country. And the second thing I say that bit of support. I say South Africa is good in the mining skill, but I think from the manufacturing and from smelting and processing skill, I think we might need to import. By maybe a bit of relaxed framework to allow the industry to come and bring skilled people from all over the world can also allow the smelting industry to grow. And the third thing I say, given this is a low margin industry, some incentive from the government, either it's a taxation or either it's a fast tech approvals or either it's infrastructure support, can be relooked to say that how we can support processing more. But if this industry comes, I can say in the shorter term, maybe government has to support more from the waiving of a lot of taxes and maybe a framework. But in the long term, it can create a huge value for the country.
Yes, absolutely. Because when we see the biggest problem here is unemployment, and this industry can employ lots of people, skilled, unskilled, both. Second question is because I come from technological background and we are a semi-tech tech company. So how do you see the role of technology in mining? So how much of technology you're using in your mining things, and especially analytics side of it, automation side of it? So how do you see that thing coming into your picture?
Okay, so I say mining as an industry is still lacking or maybe behind in terms of automation, digitalization, process automation. So I think that is still mining industry is catching up. This is one of the key agenda remain for us for focus as a business, because we know the world is moving very fast, and if we are not catching up with the world in terms of digitalization, automation process, uh, we will not be able to pick up the pace. So I think I always say, especially into the mining industry, when people talk about digitalization, automation, sometimes people think about threat to the jobs. It's not a threat to the jobs. It's all about how you can work efficiently, how you can contribute to the analytical instead of working on the processes. So I think that's the way we see industry. And if you are talk about as a contribution, we have spent a lot of time into our mining, into the processing, even our underground operation. We got completely Wi-Fi into our underground operation, into our open pit. We got complete Wi-Fi, so that even all our equipment are being completely tracked from this efficiency and productivity point of view. And this digitalization automation also contribute a lot to the safety as well. Safety in the mining is very, very important. You can really track, the technology is available, you can really track where the machine and where the person is, so that they should not touch each other, or hit each other. So I'm saying that the contribution of the technology and automation is used into the mining industry, but mining industry still need to mature. But Vedanta is definitely on the forefront and most welcoming any new ideas and new thoughts, how we can improve our space to contribute better and better and better.
Thank you so much for your answers. You have been gracious all your interview, and you have been very kind and open.
Thank you very much, Piyush, and thank you very much, Rachna. I think it was a fantastic connect, and it's absolutely a pleasure to be here today and I had a connect with you. I think it was fantastic engagement, and again, I especially thanks to CGI Durban for this initiative and support. All the best and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Singla. As Piyush has mentioned, it's really been an absolute pleasure. So with this, we wrap up our 6th episode of Pursuit of Excellence. Along with our amazing guests who take the time to chat with us, I'd like to thank the Consulate General of India in Durban, Honorable Shri Anish Rajan, who made this series possible. And of course, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, and see you again soon with yet another exciting guest. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you.